Hey, Dave Austin here. Hopefully you can see me. I'm in my motorhome here on the water doing one of my charrettes with some incredible couple that are here that I get the gift of working with over the next 2 days. They're staying here at the motorhome here on the ocean. It is a gorgeous day. And it must be Monday, must be noon, because this is when I do every single week. You can mark your calendars. I do a game ready so that you vision that which you want to live into. And I always have a little theme involved. And so today's theme is creating the possible from the impossible. I'm going to tell you a little story, and then I'm going to reverse engineer how I believe it happened, because it was completely impossible to happen. Yet it happened. And we all have those things in our life. So I love sharing. I have so many different stories where I went like, wow, that's like impossible. But yet it became possible. So the story I'm going to share was just actually, it was done. Hey, James, good to have you on. Thanks for coming on, James. But you see how beautiful the water is behind me? Well, just about a mile down the road here, I had a spot just like this. When I was in college, it was 2 weeks before I was to graduate. And I was married, and we lived in a little duplex. And which was fine. It was good, but it was really funny. I had this incredible feeling like, oh, wait a minute, I'm graduating in just 2 weeks. I can't no longer live in a duplex. I have to live in something grander because I'll be a college graduate. I mean, it's funny. I was very naive on that. Hey, Gail, thanks for coming in. And so I'm thinking, oh man, what am I going to do? Now, you got to realize I had no money, but I didn't even think of that. I just went, I got to live in something different once I graduate, because that's what graduates do. I mean, you see how some of this is like doesn't even make sense, but it made sense to me. So one Saturday, 2 weeks before I was to graduate, I drove along the coast and I ended up about just a mile down the road from where I am right now. It was one of the kind of days like we're looking at right now. Gorgeous, blue sky, blue ocean. Hope you're able to see and take that in wherever you are and just feel the strength of that beauty. But so I came across this condominium project that had just been built called Solana Beach and Tennis Club. Now, I was a tennis player, so that kind of drew my attention, and I went in and had tennis courts right in the middle of the condos, and then on the kind of the cliff side, you had these condos looking out at this view, this beautiful view of perfect surf. Now, I was a surfer, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is it. This is where I must live. This has to be where I live. There's no doubt about it. Look at that surf. This reminds me of Hawaii when I lived in Hawaii. Oh my gosh, this is where I'm going to live. Now think about this. I got so excited. These condos, nowadays, they sell for well over $1 million. So whatever they sold for then was equivalent of well over $1 million. And here I'm a college guy, no money, but I'm going, this is where I'm going to live. I went, wow, I'm so excited. So I went home, and I don't think I even told my wife. I was just so excited. And then it hit me that night, like I got depressed. I went, what was I thinking? How can I live in a multi-million-dollar place? I don't have any money. I don't have anything. So I started to let the negatives kind of take over. And I'm thinking, And then I went to bed that night, but in the middle of the night, I started just being inspired again, like, I know what I can do. So I wrote a whole marketing plan for this Solana Beach and Tennis Club, believe it or not. I mean, I was crazy in a way, but I just said, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how they're going to market it. I've got the answer for them. They don't even know they have a question, but I've already got the answer. So I got all excited. The next weekend, I went up there, and I went into the sales office. No one was living in the whole complex yet because they didn't have their white papers, means they're finished. So it was just, they had their beautiful models that they would show people in. But it wasn't really selling. Back when I graduated from college, it was one of the downturns of economy. And so things, even though as beautiful as they were, right on the water with tennis courts, it was just gorgeous, they weren't selling. So I went into the salesperson. I said, hey, I got the idea. I've got the plan for you. And she looked at me like I was totally a Looney Tune. And I said, no, you got to hear what I have. And she was looking at me like, I'm just out of my way. I got to sell units. Just get out of my way. I got to sell units. That's all she could think about, is that, she wasn't selling units. She's got to sell. But I got the way to sell units. Hey, Nancy, thanks for hopping on. So anyway, I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with her, and I didn't know that much, but I knew everyone must have a boss. So I didn't know that it was called a broker. And I said, well, who's the one that runs this office? And they said, well, she's in our main office across the street. And they gave me her name. So then I went over there, and I went and got all excited and told her, and she looked at me like, are you crazy? It's like, what are you doing here? We're trying to sell condos. We can't sell condos. I'm going, yeah, but I've got the answer. I got the way you're going to do it. Hey, Julianne is on. Awesome. So, anyway, she finally said, well, look, American Development Company is the developer. You know, they're the only ones that make any decisions. I said, well, what's their phone number? And she looked at me like, are you kidding me? Finally, she gave me the phone number and said, Rob Pinkles, the CEO of American Development Company. You know, call him, knowing that probably she was just getting me out of the door, and he would never take my call. So I got all excited. I started calling him, and I started calling him. You know, it's surprising, though, he never called me back. But I was so enthusiastic, and I'd go sit on that place, and I looked out at this view, and I just sat there and went, this is where I'm going to live. This is where I'm going to live. And I kept seeing it. I'm going, this is where I'm going to live. And there was moments when I'd go back to my little duplex and then get discouraged and get depressed because I'm like going, can this really be possible? And then, but I just kept focusing on this great plan I came up with. And one day, so I called again, and all of a sudden, I get Ralph Hinkle. It was a Friday, and he comes on the line. It was by mistake. You could tell he just wanted to get off the line. He's like, oh, my God, how did I get stuck on this? And I said, no, I've got a great plan for you. It's awesome. And I didn't want to tell him a lot because I didn't want him to just hang up. I wanted to meet with him personally. And he goes, okay, it's 3 o'clock now. I'm leaving my office at 5. We're in Sherman Oaks. If you can be here before I leave, I'll listen to you. I said, I'll be there. Now, you got to understand, I'm in North County, San Diego. He's in Sherman Oaks. That's 2.5 hours, even without it being a Friday afternoon. So the chances of me getting there are like pretty slim. But I get in the car, I'm all excited, and I just take off. And I just kept saying, Lord, you know, help me out here. Don't let any highway patrol see me, and somehow just keep my lanes open. And it was really strange because it was a Friday afternoon. Anybody who lives in Southern California are probably going, come on, that can't be real. That can't be real. Because even when I tell you this story, I go, really? But it was real. I got up there, and I ended up getting into the parking lot at 2 minutes to 5. I mean, it's the fastest I ever made it up there. And I get out of the car, come running into the building. I'm like, okay, I got 2 minutes. And then I see American Development Corp, 12th floor. I went, oh, crap. So I get in the elevator, and I go up to the 12th floor. By the time I get there, it's about a minute after 5. I come rushing into the office, and the receptionist is just getting her things together to leave. And I say, oh, hey, I got something for you. So Ralph Hinkle is waiting for me. And she goes, well, he just left. I went, wait a minute. I drove all the way up here, and he's gone? Sebastian, thanks for joining. So I'm like, wait, I have this vision, though. And so she goes, well, I'm sorry, he's gone. And so I decide, because I'm naive at this point, I'm just, just graduating from college. What do I know? So I had to tell someone my story. So I started telling her this great marketing plan I had for the Solana Beach and Tennis Club. I told her all this stuff and told her how awesome it was. And she's looking at me chewing gum, like going, get out of here. I'm just trying to go home. And then all of a sudden, she got a buzz on her phone. She goes, just a second. She picks up the phone and goes, yeah? Oh, Mr. Hinkle. Oh, okay. Yeah. She hangs up the phone. She goes, Mr. Hinkle had to come back and get something in his office, and he overheard what you were saying, and he said, if you want to ride down in the elevator with him, you got that moment. I said, great. Here's my greatest moment for an elevator speech. So all of a sudden, instead of being, how I remember I started this, I was discouraged because there was 12 stories I had to go up. All of a sudden I'm going, I got 12 stories. I was very grateful at that moment that it was 12 stories high, because I'm going to give my best elevator speech within 12 stories. That's all I had. Met Ralph Hinkle, got into the elevator, and we started the journey down. And I started telling him more of what he was hearing. And by the time we ended, we got down to the bottom, the door opens and he goes, do you have any more time? I went, like, do I have any more time? I drove all the way up here. I didn't say that, but I'm like, yeah. let's go back up to my office. I want to talk to you further about this. So we went the 12 stories again, got out, went into his office. 2.5 hours later, he says, look, I'm going to have my pilot. I'm going to fly me down tomorrow. Meet me at the Solana Beach and Tennis Club. Meet me on the court, and let's start seeing how this is all possible. Because I like what you're saying. So I get all excited. I drive home that Friday night. You know, now it's just really loaded with traffic. It didn't matter. I'm like, wow. But I haven't told him what it's going to cost, or that I actually was planning to have him give me one of the condos on the water. You know, that hadn't come into play yet. But at least I had him to where he goes, you know what? I'm interested. So the next day, he flew down in his private plane, came out, we met, and we started talking about it. And I started talking about my whole marketing plan for him and everything. And he goes, yeah, but what is this going to cost? And I said, that's the best news yet. That is the best news yet. You've got all these condos here. Why don't you just have me on site, living in that condo on the water there? Why don't I live there with my wife, and then I'll run the whole tennis operation out of here, create everything that I'm talking about, but you have me on site. He goes, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I said, and I'll only charge $500 a month. Now, this is back in 1975, so $500 a month was still pretty good, but I also had to pay no rent to live in a multi-million-dollar home looking out of the ocean. I'm like, yes. And now he's all excited, and then as we come off, we're talking on the tennis court, we walk, and he, right off the tennis court, is this beautiful little office space, and then this, and I said, and this other room. I said, what are those for? And he goes, well, we're gonna, I don't know, we're gonna decide. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll have Tennis International, the company I founded, which I had just founded like a week earlier, we'll headquarter out of that office. And he goes, really, you'll do that? I said, yeah. Imagine that. You've got the headquarters for Tennis International. And he goes, that's awesome. And then the building next to it, that little room, I'll go ahead and put in tennis clothes and rackets, and it'll become a shop. And he goes, that's perfect. So now I have free condominium on the water. I have free rent for my office, and I've got free rent for a retail shop. Pretty cool, huh? And so we went on to have it start, and here's the really cool thing. Hey, Helen, it's great to have you on. So anyway, so things started happening, and then team tennis started that year, so some of the biggest names in tennis would come into town, and I was able to get them to practice on the courts at Solana Beach Tennis Club. So when people came and they looked at the units, they see some of the biggest names, they go, oh my God, it has the beach, it's got the tennis, it's got everything. Well, everything started selling. And even the other units or condos along the water weren't selling at that time because it was a bad real estate market. But this place started exploding with sales. And the interesting thing is that I had put myself in these units until they sold out. So it was probably going to take about 2 years to sell out. Well, what happened was it ended up selling out in the first year because of this program that I came up with, did it. Now, it's funny because some of you might have thought, boy, did he ever pull the wool over the eyes of Rob Pinkles, that he got his free condo, he got his free office, he got his free retail spot to start life, start a business. And the truth was, I sold myself short. I actually sold myself short because of how successful what I had come up with sold units. I could have asked for a percentage of all those units that sold. Can you imagine that? Then I not only had the place, but then I would have had probably millions of dollars because of the success of this plan. So it's funny. I think back to that sometimes, and sometimes I have to go there and go, wait a minute, I'll have something coming up, and I go, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know. And then I remember, what was it? And this is the part of where we reverse engineer of how it happened. And I think back, how did it happen? Well, first of all, I was naive. I'll be honest with you. I was naive. I didn't know that was totally impossible to do. Now, nowadays, I'm older, I'm wiser, I've had more experiences. You know, there's a good chance I would never even gone and had been so passionate. There's a good chance that I would have been inspired and then said, well, that's crazy. Because I've lived longer and I've seen things that that would have been seemed impossible to me. But at that stage of my life, I didn't have all that baggage. I didn't have any of it. I just had the passion of what I wanted to create and where I wanted to live. And so that's how the impossible became the possible, because I had such a huge why and a purpose behind it, and then I didn't have those blocks that happen to us like, well, wait a minute. You know, remember the very first person I talked to? She's like, nah, we're not interested in this at all. And I didn't take that as a no. I went, oh, she's got to have a boss. And then I went there. And then she was like, well, no. But I thought, well, she even has to have a boss. And I just kept going, and I never quit. Resiliency in anything that you're doing is what's going to create your success. And even being, in a way, fearless. I was fearless. I was going to have this happen. And today, I have to say, I have to remember this story so that I can go into those places that now that I'm wiser, I've had more experience, I'm not as naive, then there's going to things that could come up and just stop me from going forward. So I think back, no, allow myself to be a little naive here and go, this is something I really love. So if it was possible back then to create something that was impossible, it's possible for me to do it now. I've had several stories. I'll tell you another story next Monday that's also goes right along with the absolutely impossibility of something that has created something on this planet that I am so proud that I was a part of. It changed the course of the music industry, believe it or not. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think. I was given the Presidential Merit Award from the Grammys because of it. But it was totally, and everyone said it was impossible. But because of the story I just told you, I went, well, wait a minute. Nothing is impossible if we are passionate. And I had to get through by that time I was still a little bit more naive. I wasn't gotten to the point where I am now. And I have to just keep remembering that, wait a minute. I hope you can hear the train going by right now, that big horn. Here on the beach there's tracks, and so that horn you heard was the train. But, you know, everything is possible if we get out of our own way. And I, to this day, have to remember that. Get out of the way, Dave. Let inspiration take over. Kathleen's on. I love it. So you have those moments of inspiration. You know you're inspired. There's no doubt to it. But then you let the other stuff creep in like I did. And fortunately for me, I didn't have enough experience of failure at that time that probably would have kept me from going further. At that point in my life, I hadn't experienced any failure, so I went, oh, I didn't even know what failure was. I had kind of hit everything I wanted to hit. I even went and played and got a scholarship in tennis when I was a football and baseball scholar. Scholarship to begin with. Then I got in a car accident, and I said, oh, well, I like tennis, so I just shifted. Now, I think back now, this is probably absolutely crazy. But I was naive enough to think I could do it, and I tend to be an overachiever. I work my ass off, and then all of a sudden you're doing it. And that's hard sometimes now for me to tap back into, because I'm just thankful that I have stories like this that help me to know with the possibilities if I get out of the way and not let my mind take over and say, yeah, but what about that, and what about this, and oh my gosh. Just take with what you have right now and start with what you have, and then take a step. Those that have been through Beast Mode On with me know when I talk about faith, I always quote Martin Luther King. Faith is, quote from Martin Luther King, faith is when you take the first step of the staircase and you can't see all of the staircase. So take that first step, and then what happens is each step you take, all of a sudden you get a clearer view. All of a sudden more things become possible because you're up elevated. So keep elevating yourself. So now we move right into the game ready part of this, which I do every week, and that is where you vision and you see it. To have anything happen, you have to see it so that your subconscious mind just sees it so clearly that it can believe this is possible. Maybe you can call it takes you to that naive space, because the subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or isn't real. So it's buying into the fact that, oh yeah, I can do that. So before you close your eyes, I want you to take a moment, and I want you just to tap into gratitude. Oh my gosh. Gratitude is the source of the greatest gift we've been given to create. Anytime you're down, anytime you are doubtful, just start focusing on what you're grateful for. Then you have more things to be grateful for. Then you have more things to be grateful for. It's power. So just take a moment, breathe in about what you're grateful for. I'm incredibly grateful for this day here, and I'm getting to work with a couple that came out from Utah, and we're just diving deep, and it's already over the top exciting about where they're going, and we're really just getting started. But it's such a beautiful environment. Hopefully someday you'll take me up on this and come out and spend a couple days here at the motorhome and tap in. That's what it is, it's tapping in. So with that said, and you've tapped into gratitude, I want you to close your eyes. Now, as you close your eyes, I want you to see a gate and go through the gate. As you go through the gate, I want you to come into this place of nature. Could be right behind me. You maybe leave your eyes open right now and just, I'll move aside and just take that in. Take in the beauty of that. Or go to a place that you love, whatever it is. Just, gosh. Nature loves to be appreciated, so you just breathe in the strength here, because there's an exchange of energy that's powerful. You're tapping into something greater than you. So breathe deeply through your nose all the way to the pit of your stomach. Hold, and then breathe out your mouth. With every breath in, you're breathing in a fire of life. You're breathing it so deep that it's starting right from the deepest part of you. And so this greater power that's in you, around you, above you, that works through you, is now available for anything to become possible. So now you walk forward in this beauty, and all you're doing is appreciating the beauty. That's all it is. It's taking you to that higher elevation of frequency that all things are possible. Now see another gate and go through that gate. And as you go through that gate, you come into your life. Now see a vision of that which you would really love to live into. And if there's a thought of, I don't know how that's going to happen, let it go. Just see it and feel it. The how-tos will come, but it's about tapping into the vision that you decide rather than letting other people tell you what you should do and shouldn't do. It's coming from within you, and it's just you're allowing yourself to tap into that brilliance. See it and feel it deep within you. I know many athletes are on these Facebook Lives too. See yourself playing at a whole new dimension. Those that have businesses, entrepreneurs, see yourself getting so clear, and then being willing to keep taking the steps into greatness, because that's what it is, stepping into greatness. See it so your subconscious mind goes, yeah, of course. I've always known you could make that kind of money. I always knew you were going to affect that many lives. All of a sudden, as you do this on a continued basis, because that's what I keep saying, this is why I do it every Monday. Come join me every Monday, so it sets your week off, so you see what you're doing this week. You see what you're doing and moving into the future. It's awesome. You're just stepping. Now you're just stepping forward in faith and in strength of vision. Now go ahead and step back through the gate, and it's so awesome to be so committed to that which you see and live into. You're just living into the video you're creating. Instead of reacting to your conditions, you're creating your conditions. Now you come back into this place of beauty, this place of nature. Oh man, it is so awesome to be here. Wow, what a gift it is. What an incredible gift it is to be in this beautiful place. Now see a well of water, drink from it. It's ice cold, it's so refreshing, and you can just feel the water running through you. It's invigorating. You are now tapped into this strength beyond all strength. That can be there available to you at any time. It's just for you to allow yourself to slow down so you get to places quicker, because you allow this greater energy, this greater power that's available to you that you can tap into and take it. Now walk in that strength. You always have it. We just forget sometimes. I forget. And then a story like I told you today reminds me of how, even though I was naive, it worked out brilliantly. I allow the inspiration to get out in front of the negative thoughts that said, you can't do this. I allow the inspiration to lead, and I put the negative thoughts behind me. You, get behind me. Get behind me. I'm seeing this. And that's the true strength, and that's the true gift that we all have if we're willing to. It's a willingness. Saying yes to yourself. So, thank you for being on. I'm going to do these every Monday. If you didn't see, you only got partly on, obviously you know this is a recording. Go back and see the whole thing. Take in the whole story, and then let it allow you to see a vision that might seem impossible, that you turned it into a possibility. So, beast mode on. That's what we do in our Beast Mode On Challenge, 30 days. You know, it's tapping into that energy and having the tools to create these beautiful moments to keep happening. So I'll talk to you next Monday. All the beast and all the best.